children. It's the most wonderful time of the day. Story time with Janie.
Jeannie, actually, I was kind of hoping this was math time.
Oh, but Professor, I worked so hard. Do you have any idea how difficult it was to write a story?
Well, no, I don't, but the math riddle I wanted you and I to think about actually involves Spencer, who wrote lots of stories.
What? How many? Are you kidding me? It took me weeks just to write one.
Well, let's take a look at this one together and see if this cheers you up.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So Spencer wrote 7 fewer stories than Katie. Now, Spencer wrote 19 stories, and the question is, how many stories did Katie write?
Whoa. He wrote 19?
He wrote 19, but he wrote fewer than Katie, which
What?
means that his number is going to be smaller than Katie's number. So if we model that, it might look something like this. If we think of Katie's number as being represented by this long rectangle, then in fact we see that Spencer's number would be a shorter rectangle, and this little space here would represent the difference. So let's fill in some numbers and see what we get. Well, what we'd see is we know that Spencer wrote 7 fewer stories than Katie. That means that this gap, the difference is 7. Now, Spencer wrote 19 stories, which means that's how many he wrote, so that's going to be this rectangle right here. And then how would I actually figure out how many Katie did? Well, we just would take 19 and then add on that 7. And if we actually did that, what we would see is 19 plus 7. If we work that out, of course, we know that is, in fact, 26. And so
26 stories?
that's a lot, isn't it?
Man!
I know. But it's all good. It's all good. 26 is what you did, because that's the sum of 19 and 7. Now, here's the cool thing. We can actually check our answer.
Huh?
Because I already gave you a clue and said 7, in fact, is going to be different. So what we can do is we can take the total of 26. We can subtract off the 7 and see what the answer is. If we take 26 and we subtract off the 7 fewer, then we should be left with this, which in fact is Spencer's.
Right.
So what we have to consider now is the following. All we've got to do is take 26 and subtract 7 and see what we get. That might be a little scary looking. So one thing we could do is consider actually base 10 blocks. And so let me show you what that would look like. So here is 26, and we're going to want to subtract 7. And I'll have you think about this, and why don't you think about this too? Let's see how we're going to do that, especially since we can't take 7 away from 6. What are we going to do? Let's think about it. We'll be right back. Okay, well, the thing is, we only have 6 ones here, so we can't take away 7 ones. So this is an example, Jeannie, where we have to regroup. And remember that one of these longs, that's a 10. 1 10 is equal to 10 ones.
That's right.
So I can pull this away and actually replace it by its identical twin, which is just 10 ones. And I'm going to do that right now and put that right in. So it's still 26. But now it's a 26 that looks different because it's 1 10 and I have 16 ones.
All right.
And so now I can subtract the 7 ones. It's no problem at all.
You can take one from the ones.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So I'm going to take all of that right here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to just cross it all off. Cross it all off right now.
I see how regrouping works.
We're going to cross it all off right now. And if we don't, you're going to see something really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and now what are we left with? Well, we still have that 1 10, and then we have to count how many ones we have. And if we count them, we see we have 9. So it's 1 10 and 9, which is 19, which is what we got here. So that's good. And how would we see that here really quickly? The way we can think about that is do the same regrouping. So I can't take 7 from 6, so I'm going to go and I see I have 2 10s. I'm going to actually regroup and make this 1 10, and then I have 10 ones. 10 ones and 6 makes 16 ones.
Right.
And 16 minus 7 is 9. And then I have the 1 minus 0, which is 1. So I see 19. And so all roads lead to 19. 19, 19, and that checks with the 19. And so we see, in fact, 19 plus 7 is 26. And so therefore we saw that Katie wrote 26 stories.
Wow! 26 stories!
actually check our answer by taking 26 and subtracting 7 and seeing that we actually get 19. And so we see we have the correct answer, and we checked and found 19 in a variety of different ways, and so we know our answer is correct. And that, Jeannie, is the answer.
Katie wrote so many stories.
Yep.
Well, I've got a story for Katie.
What's that?
Yeah, and it's about a girl named Katie who writes so many stories that there's no more stories left in the entire world for anyone else to write. Hey, wait just 1 minute.
What?
Oh, that's the story, Professor Burger.
What?
It says, thank you, Katie. That's the story. There once was a girl who wrote so many stories that nobody else
Have fun
in the
with that.
entire
We'll
world
see you soon.
could write
That's a
any
great
more
story.
stories.